Article 2. Gender-based online sexual harassment. Section 12. Gender-based online sexual harassment. Gender-based online sexual harassment includes acts that use information and communications technology in terrorizing and intimidating victims through physical, psychological, and emotional threats. Unwanted sexual misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist remarks and comments online, whether publicly or through direct and private messages. Invasion of victims' privacy through cyberstalking and incessant messaging. Uploading and sharing without the consent of the victim. Any form of media that contains photos, voice, or video with sexual content. Any unauthorized recording and sharing of any of the victim's photos, videos, or any information online. Impersonating identities of victims online or posting lies about victims to harm their reputation. Or filing false abuse reports to online platforms to silence victims. Section 13. Implementing bodies for gender-based online sexual harassment. For gender-based online sexual harassment, the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group or PNP-ACG, as the National Operational Support Unit of the PNP, is primarily responsible for the implementation of pertinent Philippine laws on cybercrime. Shall receive complaints of gender-based online sexual harassment and develop an online mechanism for reporting real-time gender-based online sexual harassment acts and apprehend perpetrators. The Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center or CICC of the DICT shall also coordinate with the PNP-ACG to prepare appropriate and effective measures to monitor and penalize gender-based online sexual harassment. Section 14. Penalties for gender-based online sexual harassment. The penalty of prison correctional in its medium period or a fine of not less than 100,000 pesos but not more than 500,000 pesos or both, at the discretion of the court shall be imposed upon any person found guilty of any gender-based online sexual harassment. If the perpetrator is a juridical person, its license or franchise shall be automatically deemed revoked, and the persons liable shall be the officers thereof, including the editor or reporter in the case of print media, and the station manager, editor, and broadcaster in the case of broadcast media. An alien who commits gender-based online sexual harassment shall be subject to deportation proceedings after serving sentence and payment of fines. Exemption to acts constitutive and penalized as gender-based online sexual harassment are authorized written orders of the court for any peace officer to use online records or any copy thereof as evidence in any civil, criminal investigation, or trial of the crime, provided that such written order shall only be issued or granted upon written application, and the examination under oath or affirmation of the applicant and the witnesses may produce and upon showing that there are reasonable grounds to believe that gender-based online sexual harassment has been committed or is about to be committed, and that the evidence to be obtained is essential to the conviction of any person for or to the solution or prevention of such crime. Any record, photo, or video or copy thereof of any person that is in violation of the preceding sections shall not be admissible in evidence in any judicial, quasi-judicial, legislative, or administrative hearing or investigation. Article 3. Qualified gender-based streets, public spaces, and online sexual harassment. Section 15. Qualified gender-based streets, public spaces, and online sexual harassment. The penalty next higher in degree will be applied in the following cases. A. If the act takes place in a common carrier or PUV, including but not limited to jeepneys, taxis, tricycles, or app-based transport network vehicle services, where the perpetrator is the driver of the vehicle and the offended party is a passenger. B. If the offended party is a minor, a senior citizen, or a person with disability or PWD, or a breastfeeding mother nursing her child. C. If the offended party is diagnosed with a mental problem tending to impair consent. D. If the perpetrator is a mother of the uniformed services, such as the PNP and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, and the act was perpetrated while the perpetrator was in uniform. And E. If the act takes place in the premises of a government agency, offering frontline services to the public and the perpetrator is a government employee. Article 4. Gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace. Section 16. Gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace. The crime of gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace includes the following. A. An act or series of acts involving any unwelcome sexual advances, requests, or demand for sexual favors, or any act of sexual nature, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology such as text messaging or electronic mail or through any other forms of information and communication system that has or could have a detrimental effect on the conditions of an individual's employment or education, job performance, or opportunities. A conduct of sexual nature and other conduct based on sex affecting the dignity of a person, which is unwelcome, unreasonable, and offensive to the recipient, whether done verbally, physically, or through the use of technology such as text messaging or electronic mail or through any other forms of information and communication systems. C. A conduct that is unwelcome and pervasive and creates an intimidating, hostile, or humiliating environment for the recipient, provided that the crime of gender-based sexual harassment may also be committed between peers and those committed to a superior officer by a subordinate, or to a teacher by a student, or to a trainer by a trainee, and D. Information and communication system refers to a system for generating, sending, receiving, storing, or otherwise processing electronic data messages or electronic documents and includes the computer system or other similar devices by or in which data are recorded or stored and any procedure related to the recording or storage of electronic data messages or electronic documents. Section 17. Duties of employers. Employers or other persons of authority, influence, or moral ascendancy in a workplace shall have the duty to prevent, deter, or punish the performance of acts of gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace. Towards this end, the employer or person of authority, influence, or moral ascendancy shall a. Disseminate or post in a conspicuous place a copy of this act to all persons in the workplace. B. Provide measures to prevent gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace, such as the conduct of anti-sexual harassment seminars. C. Create an independent internal mechanism or a committee on decorum and investigation to investigate and address complaints of gender-based sexual harassment, which shall